What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi with my guys, Eric Sheets-Haber and Kenny Hyder. Coming off of an interesting week. Kenny had certainly some interesting and what turned out to be some awesome plays. Sheets had some. I had a couple, but couldn't quite get the right mix to take anything down. But I think Kenny was profitable at least, so that's something. But yeah, if we just took Kenny's his play, his plays at the end, the guys to win it and come. He had Kenny, remind us what you had there last week, and then we'll jump
So
in.
I picked in the 10K range, I picked Scheffler to win. In the 9K range, top 5, I picked Terrell Hatton, who tied for second. In the 8K range to top 20, I picked Billy Horschel, who tied for second with her.
That's
Hatton.
awesome.
And then to make the cut, I picked
Ryder.
I think it was Sam Ryder,
Yeah.
who made the cut, and I think he ended at +4 or something like that, which isn't great, but he made the cut.
Yeah. Hey, let's hope we can get some of that this week, and this time turn it into a lot of money, a lot of big tournaments out there. Before we get into it all, Sheets, I'll ask you first, any sort of initial thoughts, and then will you pull up your screen and we'll go by tier.
Oh, we're gonna pull my screen back here. No, I mean it's a big tour. It's a big tournament, and both from a DFS perspective and from a fan perspective. So usually when that happens, it's becomes the pricing becomes somewhat soft, so that people can play pretty much whoever they want, which makes a lot of sense. Look at this! They just actually maxed out the Millie Maker.
No way.
Yeah, just maxed it out.
Very disappointing. Okay.
Just maxed it out. And you're going to be able to play whoever you want, and as a result, ownership is going to be pretty spread out. I don't have anybody projected over 25% across the whole board. So as a result, I think that you should play the same. I don't think you should worry as much about ownership this week as you should about other weeks, and just kind of play who you like and have a fun sweat.
Yep. I hope. All right, let's get your screen up and then we'll get going. Kenny, just course thoughts real quick before we go into tiers.
Oh, how about weather thoughts?
Or weather thoughts, I guess, but that's what looks like it's going to be pretty rainy.
Is it? That's the one thing I haven't looked at yet. That was my plan to do today. So I'm totally blank on the weather. That'll be really interesting. The course, another difficult course, another iconic made for TV kind of course. It's interesting this week. It plays quite a bit differently than last week. Driving distance and accuracy are basically not all that important. And the overall tee to green and overall off the tee and approach numbers are ranked much more highly on CourseFit this week. So last week was really interesting to watch with the weather and the course just playing so difficultly, and I kind of expect this should be equally difficult and equally a test, but we also have a much more loaded field. So it's kind of interesting to think about how it will be different from last week, where the scores were so high over par. I don't think we're going to necessarily have that this week, just because the field is so studded, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into it. Sheets, why don't you start us off with your favorite players we'll go the 10K plus range here, and then we'll jump down to the other guys afterwards. But 10K plus, it's hard not to like all these guys. So who are you sort of leaning towards?
Right. So my top rated guys are Rahm and Justin Thomas. And it's pretty, for me at least, a decent sized drop to the other guys. I want to talk about one guy in particular, because there's kind of like a little extra information I wanted to kind of throw out there. I want to talk about Rory for a minute. As you guys know, I mean, I run these projections based on the industry. I weight some higher than others based on past results and whatever. And there's actually one site which is completely under projecting Rory McIlroy by 10 points, literally for no reason. I think it's literally just a typo input error. And I've been waiting for them to change it, because last time I tried to tell them their business, they told me to stay in my lane, don't be a pain in the ass, whatever it is. So fine, whatever. I'll let 30% of the industry have the wrong projection for whatever. Now, with that said, he as a result, he is probably going to be lower owned as a result of that. So if you do like Rory, you certainly can play him at what's going to be lower than he maybe could be. Now, again, on the other hand, though, Rory's probably going to be popular just because it's a big tournament. People know his name, so you always get that Rory, that Rory ownership. The other thing I want to throw in, I'll throw this out there. There's a guy who's actually in our Discord. I don't want to sell him out because he didn't say I should talk about this, but he's actually a data scientist / machine learning guy, really super sharp dude. And we were talking about other stuff today online. He told me that based on his model that he's running stuff, that Rory's showing up as a really, really strong play. Now I haven't had any history with him. I don't know how accurate it is, but I figured I would just throw it out there that the combination of the few kind of little industry glitches I just said maybe makes Rory a little bit lower owned. But as far as my relative what he should be, but for me, Rom and JT kind of stand out over the other 10Ks, and I really don't think I'm going to get to Hovland or Morikawa.
All right, Kenny, how about you? Well, I kind of go the opposite way. I'm a Rambo fan, but I am going to be fading him slightly this week. Just especially because there's so many, plays, in the 8K and above range that I like, and I want exposure to pretty much everyone. So, for me on the big GPP builds, I'm going to be fading Rom mostly. And, basically my strategy is I like Rory, and I like Morikawa, and I like Thomas, and I like Hovland. So I'm going to be focused mainly on Morikawa and JT, and then trying to mix in Rory as well. Hovland, I also really like. He played great last week, and he rates out well. He's not, no huge risk on being overexposed to him. But it's just, it's kind of difficult, and I kind of want to. And typically, what I like to do is focus on one or two, but I'm kind of just going to have exposure to all four of them outside of Rom, just to kind of cover my bases.
Gotcha. I'll be way over the field on Rom. I'm not going to stop doing this. As I keep saying, I still think the pricing is too close. I mean, the fact that he finished one stroke behind Rory last week is kind of crazy to think about. So I'll be overweight on Rom the most. I am flirting. I'm sort of even between JT and Morikawa. And then I would go Hovland, Rory. I will have exposure to all of them. And I think you can, because there's some cheap plays that are, you're going to have guys who have chances down at the bottom. There's some good golfers in the 6K range too. So I like the idea of if you're going to play two of them, probably the first two would be Rom and JT for me, or Rom and Morikawa, but I definitely want to mix in a little bit of Hovland. Let's talk about the 9K range, also loaded. Kenny, you could start this one off. Who are you looking at to maybe be overweight and underweight on here?
So I'm going to be, I can actually take a look here and tell you. I'm going to be most overweight actually this week on Xander, which is odd for me. I typically don't like him.
You were going to say that. I knew you were going to put a wrench in all my plans. Kenny never suggests Xander, and now he's going to throw out Xander. Okay. All right, Kenny, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I also, I'm going to have, I'm going to have a lot of exposure to Cantlay as well. I still like Cantlay. I hate him for last year and how he screwed Rahm over, but especially that he's in the 9K range. There's no reason why he's not in contention on Sunday. I think that there's a very good case that he will be. So I'll have plenty of exposure to Cantlay, but he's also, more projected to be more highly owned. But yeah, this week I'm going to be pretty heavy on Xander, definitely over the field by a lot. And, I like him this week because I think that he's going to be even less owned in this range, especially with DJ right there and Cantlay, and even Hideki, I know, which is kind of surprising that Hideki rates out to be like the most highly owned in the range. But yeah, Xander, he's got all of the gains in all the right places. He doesn't need this week isn't going to be about the guys who can crush it. He doesn't have a concern about competing off the tee. He's, a great iron player. I think he's kind of overlooked just because he's, hasn't won like everyone else has, you know what I mean? But yeah, this week I like Xander. And then I also actually my current builds, my highest projected exposure on the entire slate is Cam Smith, who I also really like this week. And, you know, Bobby, we were talking about last week, he's a great golfer. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me that he's $9,400. You know, in the range, he's only second to Cantlay in terms of any sort of way that you want to dice any stats. So, you know, I'm going to be pretty heavy on Cam Smith as well.
Love the Cam Smith idea. That's what I'm going to do as well. Sheets, jump in. Who do you like in this range?
You know what's great about having Kenny on? We talk about in my universe, my hedge fund universe, of having like non-correlating assets, like having one thing do one thing when an opposing stock does something different. Like there's like never going to be a single week where Kenny and I both win. I mean, like ever. Okay, it's kind of great like that. So let me start by commenting on a couple of things that Kenny said. First of all, one that I totally disagree with is the idea that Hideki could possibly be higher owned than anybody. Nobody plays him. He's a guy that, for me, I mean, I show him at 17% ownership, and I show Xander at 12% ownership. I don't think there's a universe where Xander is less owned than Hideki. They always play Xander every week, and they never play Hideki. So I'm not saying don't play him. I'm just saying that from an ownership perspective, I just don't believe a word of that. The other thing is that my favorite guy in the 9K, and I'm going to take this nickname from you, is what do you call him? I'm going to take Can't Play. I'm going to take Patrick Can't Play at 9,900. He's by far my top guy in the 9K. The second favorite guy in the 9K range is actually kind of off brand for me, and that would be Scotty Scheffler. I'm off brand in that, and I don't like playing guys that are coming off wins, much less 2 wins in 3 weeks. But he's just showing up as such a strong play, and the guy never loses. So I'm gonna, you know, and he's gonna be pretty chalky, but I'm probably gonna eat some of that. And of course, well, we'll get to it later, but probably the guy I'm getting almost zero of is going to be the aforementioned Cam Smith. So we're all in good shape. What do you like, Bobby?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I certainly understand the argument. I do think Cam Smith actually ends up lower owned than these guys, and I agree with your initial that the projections are going to be wrong with Hideki, as they are every week. I do like Hideki this week. In order, I would go, first of all, I'm definitely going to get exposure to DJ just because of the ownership, and compared to everybody in the range, maybe it means I can only play 10% of Cantlay and 10% of, I won't play any Spieth, but I don't know. I really want to try to find a way to squeeze in a few DJ lineups here. I wasn't thinking about Schauffele as much, but every single person I know who keeps talking golf is talking to me about Schauffele this week, including Kenny. So this is a week I may actually, for once, be over the field on Schauffele. It's been a really good fade for us, Kenny. Like, it's not that he hasn't done well, but he hasn't been winning. He hasn't won tournaments. He hasn't finished. He's only had one top 10 in the last, seven starts, I think he's had, compared to some of the other guys in this range. That looks pretty bad. So I'm sort of shuffling around with what I want to do in this range. I like the next range a lot, but I'm going to probably be sort of near or above the field on Matsuyama, on Schauffele, and I'll definitely be over the field on Cam Smith. I'm still flirting what to do with Scheffler because the ownership. I wish he got the normal win, hey, and now you're going to be lower owned thing. But yeah, first, seventh, and a first in his last 3 starts. Totally unflappable guy who everybody's been, until 3 weeks ago was called the best player in the world not to have won a tournament. And well, we can't say that anymore. So now he's going for 3 and 4. So
and he's actually just for the record, he's right at the same kind of exposure that I have to Cam Smith. It's just Cam Smith is lower projected, so it's over the field more.
Yeah.
But I just didn't mention him because I have the same kind of, he won last week or whatever. But I still was on him last week too. There's no reason why I wouldn't be on him again this week. I don't expect him to do badly. So
not to mention his in-between week where he finished 7th was
right.
It's not like we won't take that if you can guarantee that right now. There's other guys we can bet around it to win the tournament, but he also could win the tournament. All right, 8K range. This is pretty loaded in my opinion. So I'm going to start this one off with Sheets.
So obviously, as usual, Daniel Berger is the model darling. I mean, he's showing up in every model as a great play, as he always does. I mean, he keeps the ball low. He keeps the ball, you know what I mean? Like he's a great play every week. And just to give you my history with him in the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago, I faded him or last time he played, I guess, because he had back problems and caused him to withdraw 1 week and play shitty another week. So I didn't play him, and he was cruising until he collapsed. He's showing up as a top play. He's looking at 21% ownership right now. I think he's going to be higher owned than that. I think there's a guy that's going to. I think there are two guys that could go near 25%. One is him, and another we'll get to a little later. But I think he could be 25%. I'm glad Kenny's on here because I wanted your permission to play Adam Scott, because I know you guys have been talking about Adam Scott because I have him rated pretty well, and I don't usually play him, so I need your permission to do that. But my favorite play in this range, I mean, and when you think about Daniel Berger, literally right at 8,800 at chalk, I'm going to play Louis Oosthuizen at 8,700. That hopefully he finishes the tournament. That's always a risk. But that's going to be my favorite play, given ownership, given everything in the 8K range. I have one in the 7K range that I will talk about, but as far as like ownership driven stuff, and I know I mentioned that like ownership wasn't that important, but it's always a little bit important. I think Louis is my favorite kind of leverage play in the whole board.
Interesting. Kenny, how about you for this range?
Well, what she said in the previous segment is definitely true. We're never going to win on the same week.
Yes. Well, at least listen, if that's going to happen, the worst thing is if we both come in like just barely out of the money. You know what I mean? One of us at least get near the top, and the other one go 2 for 6. At least do that.
I think it's really interesting that you like Louis this week. I love Louis typically all the time. He's one of a few in this range that I will be completely avoiding.
Yes.
So this range for me is my focus range.
Okay.
I'm heaviest in this range on the field by far. So easier for me to just tell you the guys I will not have exposure to.
Yep.
Louis, I won't have exposure to Louis, sadly. Tony Finau. I won't have exposure to. Oh, that's it. Finau and Oosthuizen. I like everyone else.
You play Brooks?
I do have Brooks for sure. I want at least kind of right around the field with Brooks, just because I don't think that he's going to be that high owned. I think that people aren't going to be on him just because he's not priced high enough for some odd reason. But I do definitely want exposure to Brooks. I just am not going to be super heavy on him. I'll be heaviest in this range on Billy Horschel and Shane Lowry.
I like I'm not into Lowry. I'll probably be fading that, even though I like him in general. I like Horschel. What were your I really am heavy on Adam Scott. I know that Kenny, why don't you, because Eric was asking about that. I really like Adam Scott this week. He and Neiman are my favorite plays in this range, along with the obvious Berger and Horschel. I like all 4 of those guys the best. What are your thoughts on Scott though, Kenny? Because I know Sheets was
I like the Scott. I like Scott this week. I'm a little concerned. I do think his play last week was a little bit concerning. He seemed to be struggling when he shouldn't have been. It's not, I watched every round, and he didn't seem like his losses to the field weren't because of the reasons that everyone else had, like really bad weather or water balls and things like that. He just kind of didn't have it all together last week, which concerns me a little bit. That being said, I'm still going to have probably 20%, exposure to him.
Nice. Okay. I do want to point out that I forgot maybe my favorite guy in this range, and that's Zalatoris. I think it's a great pivot off of Berger, and with the guy who can hit the ball like he does on these 5s, if you can just win the par 5 battle, and he can definitely do that. I definitely have interest. And I think it's funny because, he ended up 38th last week, didn't have kind of a disappointing up and down week. But again, that's sort of what it was for everyone. he's been really, really good. And I am going to play him at what I think will be lower ownership than most of these other guys. So that's how I've got this one ranked. I think Zalatoris, Neiman, and Scott are my 3 favorites in this range. All right, 7K range. Let's do 7,500 to 8 because there's a lot of players here to talk about, or 7,400 to 8 because there's a lot of 74 just on its just flat. Sheets, why don't you start this one off and then we'll go 7,400 to 8K if that's okay with you, because it's a little hard to get all the guys in the 7K range in one sentence here.
Okay, guy who might end up being 25% is Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
He's showing up everywhere, and he was pretty chalky last week, and I think he disappointed. He's just way too cheap relative.
I don't think he disappointed.
He didn't. I thought he
ended up in 9th place.
Oh, he did. Oh, that's so funny. I didn't even realize. So
yeah.
Funny. So anyway, he's showing up as a tremendous player, and he's going to be really chalky now. So I talked about this in kind of an earlier video I did. So 7,400 to 7,800. So there are 2 different types of plays, and I want to talk about this for a second. So the guys I like in this range are Fitzpatrick, Henley, Connors, Hatton, and one other guy, which I'm going to talk about. So I want to talk about Webb Simpson for a second at 7,600. So here's the thing about all these guys. They all look like pretty good plays, but they're very different if you think about it from perception. Like you think about the types of guys that want to play a guy like Fitzpatrick and Henley, like younger guys are having, that are on the upswing, that are good metrics types of guys, that are on the improve, like kind of like that sharp play. People love to play guys like that, like Henley. Berger's a guy like that. Fitzpatrick's a guy like that. Even Connors can sometimes be a guy like that. Mm-hmm. And then you have a guy like Webb Simpson, who is projected very similarly, but he is taking a different route to this projection than these other guys. Like Simpson was 9,500, like within the last year, and he's been just pretty much struggling, right, from all the different reasons. So you get him projecting very similarly to these guys, and he's going to be lower owned. And I think that here's an interesting case you can make for a play like Webb Simpson. So again, the sharp players are going to be playing guys like Henley, Connors, Fitzpatrick, guys like that instead of Simpson. So when you play Simpson, not only are you getting kind of leverage on the field because of ownership, but you're getting specific leverage over the good players, right? Like the good DFS players. So if you want to play one of those kind of boring looking, I want to catch the falling knife of Webb Simpson play, really, it's kind of perceived as kind of like a fishy play among the community. So if you can get away with it, you're getting leverage on guys the exact same price range, these kind of sharp plays. And I'd rather be competing against bad players, right, for my lineups than good players. So I think that the Webb Simpson lineups, not only are they going to be lower owned, but they're also going to be paired with kind of worse plays than the Henley, Fitzpatrick, Connors types of lineups. So those are the guys that I like. And this is going to be one of those days where I probably get too much of Webb Simpson and he ends up missing the cut. And everybody's like, see, what the hell are you guys playing Webb Simpson for? You can play freaking super sharp Russell Henley every day. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my thoughts on that range, but those are the guys I like. We're going to go down to 7,400. So another one that's just like the Webb Simpson play, sort of, is the Sergio Garcia play. Okay. So I like the Sergio Garcia in a similar way. Like Sergio Garcia is it's kind of weird to think of him as old, right? But he's kind of like the older school type of play that, again, I think people are more inclined to play like the Russell Henleys and Fitzpatricks and whatever it is. So if you can get away with Garcia, who, by the way, we've played recently, he's shown signs and we've come up with good reasons to play him. So again, if you can get away with a Sergio play, you're getting leverage over the types of guys you want to get leverage over. So I guess that's my whole dissertation about this.
I like it. Kenny, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree a lot, actually. I just am heaviest on Sam Burns by far in this field. And actually, contrary to last week, where I called Terrell Hatton to win or to top 5, I'm going to be fading him mostly this week. I don't like him as much. I don't think this is nearly as good of a course for him. This is a course where putting isn't, as big of a factor. And that's his, where he's gaining the most strokes on the field right now. So I don't, I think it's going to be more about the approach game and, the ball strikers, tee to green guys. And Terrell Hatton just isn't that guy. Not, he doesn't rank out that way at all. So I'll be avoiding him this week. Also this week, I do like the Webb Simpson play. I especially like it because, I think he kind of goes unnoticed, and I don't think, he's not even projected to be highly owned, but I think he's going to be even less than he is projected. And he has, he's solid across the board. And in tournaments where he's, not a real long driver, this is one of those tournaments where that doesn't matter. So we're taking, his biggest weakness out of play this week, and all of his strengths are in play. So I also really like Webb Simpson. And then the rest of the guys, this is another range where I like all of them. I'm not as hot heavy on this range as I was the last one, but I do have exposure to pretty much almost all of it. The guys that I don't have exposure to in this range are, like I said, Hatton, also Answer, Leishman, and Woodland. But everyone else I'll be playing, especially, like I said, Sam Burns. I also really like Russell Henley. He was a huge guy that popped up in my initial kind of analysis and research. So I like that as well. And I love the Sergio play also. I've been on Sergio for the past couple of weeks, and I still think that he's going to put up a big score one of these weeks. Why not this week?
Yeah, so I'm gonna play some of the Fitzpatrick, and I can do that because I like Fitzpatrick and Casey a lot. I think Paul Casey is way too cheap. I understand he had a bad weekend. I don't care about this last thing to look at it, but if you were gonna care even a little bit, funny that Fleetwood, who everybody was knocking as a play, even in chat rooms and everything like that, and he ended up 20th. You know what I mean? At this price, these are ranges where we're very okay with that kind of thing, and at the prices he's been. So I'm very high on Fleetwood, and I know he will be way off the board. I don't think he's going to collect much ownership at all. I agree with Kenny about Sam Burns. I'm probably going to be low on Answer too. I'm open to playing a little bit of Webb. I'm not excited about it. My favorite guys are Burns, Homa, Casey, and Fleetwood. And I'll mix in the other guys, a little bit of Russell Henley. I'm a little surprised nobody mentioned Jason Day, just because I think that you could make an argument for him here. Kenny, I know you're a Jason Day guy.
I do like Jason Day. Actually, last week I was going to love him, and then he withdrew. So I'll also be on Jason Day this week. It's just, I guess he is pretty low projected. So I guess I'll be pretty heavily over the field on Jason Day. It just doesn't rake out to, over 20% of my actual builds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, let's talk about the 7K to 7,300 range, which is also a pretty, I don't want to say loaded, but it's just there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of players in that range. Kenny, why don't you start first and say who you like in the 7K, 7,300?
Yeah, so this range, I don't like as much. I have a couple of guys in here that I'm definitely targeting. One's going to be Taylor Gooch. I think it's crazy that he's $7,200. He's been playing great. I know, he didn't get there last week, but so what?
Yeah.
1 week, he still got seventh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is he $7,200? That was a really hard course. He ranks out very strongly. He's great on approach. He's great tee to green. He's the second highest total strokes gained to the field in this range, second to Fleetwood, which is, well, that's not even in the range. That's 7,400. So he's the highest stat powered guy in the range by far. I also like Cameron Young again this week. He's been playing great. He's on a tear. I still want him while he's cheap. It makes more sense to me that he's this cheap, but I'm still going to be highly exposed to him. And then I also like a little bit of Keith Mitchell this week. And oh wait, did I miss one? Oh yeah. So I like a little bit of Keith Mitchell. I also like, I'll be pretty heavy over the field on Tom Hoagie this week. Mm-hmm. And then my favorite play in the range this week by far is Siwoo Kim. So Siwoo Kim, you know, had a real strong start last week. I was kind of pissed because my initial builds were trying to get me to put Siwoo Kim into everything last week, and I was denying it. And then after, you know, after Thursday, I was like, oh, damn it, I did it wrong. And then he made the cut and ended up not, you know, placing as well or putting up a huge score, but he did make the cut. He is cheap. And this week, you know, this is a Pete Dye course, and Siwoo is like the ultimate Pete Dye course specialist. So I'll be very heavy on Siwoo Kim this week because of that. And even though he, you know, didn't place in the top 20 last week, he still played, you know, played the weekend in very difficult conditions and survived. And, you know, I think this week he's going to just probably go on fire.
I like it. All right, Cheats, how about you?
Yeah, I already talked about one of them. I forgot I dipped into the wrong range. It's my favorite one in the range is Corey Connors at 7,300. And you already mentioned Taylor Gooch at 7,200. The only other one that I would throw into the mix, he's playing really well. Cameron Young at 72. So just really those three. I don't really think I'm going to get down there to that range. I mean, you mentioned Hoagie, you mentioned Siwoo Kim, and you know, if I'm forced to get to those, you know, those prices, yeah, those are the guys I'm going to. But for me, I'm probably not going to be playing around down in that range too much.
Yeah, I'm okay with the Connors. I'm okay with the Siwoo idea. I like that idea quite a bit, actually, Kenny. I'm not going to be on Thigala much this week. I'll probably have 1% of them or 2%, just so I can be over the field. Because I didn't want to.
That's all you need.
Yeah, exactly. Cam Young. So Cam Young, Gooch. Honestly, Kim and Justin Rose are my favorites, with a little bit of Hoagie and McNeely. That's pretty much my whole range. Don't really have a whole lot of interest in anyone else in this range. So, the one other guy I forgot to mention at 7K flat. Well, I guess there's two of them, but Chris Kirk and Alex Noren. I prefer Kirk slightly over Noren, but Noren will be low owned, and I think he's an interesting play. All right, let's get into the 6K, below 6K here, guys. Who have you guys got for me?
Yeah, I'll give you.
Go ahead, Cheats.
I'll give you two guys. Well, I'll give you three. One, I guess Brian Harmon, 6,900. And I got two. And then I'll throw a couple others. Here's a guy I don't think I've ever played. I'm going to be playing, maybe if I have to play this range, I'll play Bubba Watson at 6,900. Just because he's Bubba Watson, he's 6,900, and he's another one who's under projected by like 10 points by that same site. So I figure maybe he'll even be a little lower on it, whatever. And then I'll guess Sebastian Munoz at 6,700, and we'll go along. We'll go St. John's guy Keegan Bradley at 6,900.
Okay,
I love this range, and I don't like any
Really?
of these
Okay.
guys.
All right.
So this is going to be interesting. Kenny, how about you?
So I don't love the range, but I do have a little bit of overlap with Sheets here, which is interesting. I do like a little bit of Adam Hadwin. I do like Keegan Bradley. I also, this week, I like, let me skip back up there. Where'd it go? Oh, that was Keegan Bradley. I said that. I also like Mito Pereira this week. I think he rates really well for this course. I think it's going to be a good fit for him. You know, basically, you know, 6,700 and you know, 3% ownership or something like that. I'll be plenty heavy on that, as well as Taylor Moore this week, which is a new one for me. But he started popping up as well in you know, my models. I think he fits well on the course. It looks like he's where is he? Let me find him. He's, you know, he's one of the few guys down in this range that's, you know, gaining pretty significantly to the field. He's gaining, you know, almost a full stroke against the entire field, whereas anyone else in this, you know, pretty much everyone else in the range is losing, and the guys that are winning are less than half a point to the field. So I really like Taylor Moore this week. Also made the cut last week in difficult conditions. I don't really know much about him. He has no course history here. But he's going to be one of the, one of these guys down here that I'll be exposing myself to as well.
All right. So I'm telling you, every time I watch, I still think your general strategy should be for modern day golf, especially, well, it's funny because it works in non-loaded fields and in loaded fields. I really think in DFS, you want to try to play at least one or two guys in the 6K range if you really like the top guys. I just think, it happens every single week. You get an unowned guy at cost nothing every single week that is in contention on Sunday, and there's usually multiples of them. So I did my best to try to figure out who those are going to be for me. I will take the general as one of them at 6,900, Patton Kazire. I don't care about recent results when it comes to Matt Wolff being 6,800. So I'm going to take shots there. I am going to play some Molinari at 6,800. I'm just getting through my thing here because this is why I'm going to end up probably double spending up a little bit. I love Mito. He's my favorite one down here. So yeah, absolutely 100% agree on that one. The Lucas Herbert, Taylor Moore, I'm okay with, but I probably won't get there. I think Aaron Wise is probably just based on talent. I'll go next, and he actually looked pretty good for the most part last week in tough conditions. The other ones, Carlos Ortiz, who let me down last week, but again, everybody can let you down on that course, and I will go right back to him. And Thomas Peters at 6,300 is too cheap. So I'm going to be well over the field on Thomas Peters, who's probably going to be like 2% owned. But he is reasonable down at that 6,300. I like KH Lee as well. This is my problem with this range. I really do think that there's a lot of guys who I could see in the top 40, which obviously for their prices it's pretty damn good. And Taylor Pendrith, I'll probably just get a little bit of him because I've got too many other guys in this range that I'm playing. And I am going to say Steven Yeager at 0.0% projection or ownership. I'm going to keep gambling on this guy. He's another one of the darlings from the Korn Ferry that I want to get exposure to. So I think he might have won the most tournaments in Korn Ferry history.
I don't want to throw somebody under the bus, so I'll refer to him by description. So there's a guy who runs a site that they do projections. He's a really, really smart guy. Okay, you know who he is, and I'll tell you who he is. He's probably the most. I'll give you this hint. He's probably one of the more prolific backed players, or used to be, on State Kings. He actually owns probably a part of it. Maybe, I'm not sure. Anyway.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And he runs a site, and they do golf projections, among other ones. And I joined the site like 2 years ago, and I just keep forgetting to cancel. Not because they're bad. I just don't have time for it, And
right.
So I've been using it to help with the projection models, and sometimes I download them, and sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. And yesterday, 2 days ago, I was downloading them, and there was a couple of guys that weren't even listed, like Cam Young wasn't listed, just pretty sloppy organization. Let's put it that way. And one of the guys, so I said, hey, I emailed the site, and it was to him at, whatever.com. And I said, just so you know, the following guys are not projected. And he comes back and he says, oh, this was an error. And this. He says, Steven Yeager, I've never heard of, but I'll just take a look at him, I guess. So talk about a guy who no one's going to play. You got guys who are actually doing projections that say, I've never heard of him. So right. So he's definitely a lot.
He's 6K, and he made the cut last week. These are tough cuts to make. And if you get a guy flat at 6K making the cut, that's better than some of these, 64. Even if he's last place guy of those guys, it's just, I don't know. I think there's some edge. I forgot to mention Johnny Vegas, by the way, who I like too. But I don't think you necessarily need to go down because there's so much good in the mid tier. But I could just argue that, well, if it goes 1-2 with Rory and with Rahm and any of these guys at the top, I can play 2 6K guys and then get 2 really good golfers to go with them. So I just like that strategy. All right. With that said, let's play the game. Sheets, you're going to get the honor, and I think we're going to pick the same guy, but I'll let you go first. Maybe I should go first because you're going to pick. I don't know. Whatever. Go pick your guy, Sheets. Who's going to win?
Louis Oosthuizen.
Oh, that's not who I was expecting. Now you're going to make me play some Oosthuizen because of this game. Actually was going to have a little bit of him anyway, but definitely wasn't going to be above the field. All right, Kenny, who is winning this tournament?
I'll go with.
Did I just say Louis? Wait. Did I just say Louis Oosthuizen going to win the tournament?
You did.
I just said that, right? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It just came over me.
You're speaking it into existence here. Okay. Kenny?
I'm going to go with Patrick Cantlay.
Can't play.
Oh, okay. That's not what I was expecting. I am going with John Rahm. And interesting. You guys all went a different direction there. So under 10K to top 5, Kenny, start with you.
Cam Smith.
I love that. Sheets.
So I will go chalk here. I will go Scotty Scheffler.
Scheffler. All right. I'm going to go under 10K. I'm going to go Decky as my pick. Okay. Let's get down to under 9K to top 10. Sheets.
I'll keep with the chalk. I will go with Daniel Berger.
All right. Kenny.
I'm gonna do it again this week and go with Billy Horschel.
Nice.
Oh, okay. I like that. I'm very tempted on this one. I really, really like Adam Scott in this tournament. By the way, just to give you some Adam Scott, some rundown on this, he's made 13 straight cuts here. He's timed in the top 10 top 27 times, and he has a win in the last 13 tournaments he's played here. So I really like him to top 10. I'm stuck between he and Neiman, so I'm gonna say Adam Scott, but I really like Neiman too. Sheets, Kenny, top 20 under 8K.
Let's go with top 20, huh?
You had your guy. You felt very committed to him. I felt like before.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Sam Burns.
Sam Burns. That's what I expected you to say. Perfect. I like it. Sheets.
Yeah. I will go with Corey Connors.
Okay. Sheets always loves Corey Connors. Kenny always says, I love Corey Connors so much, but Sheets loves him especially more than I do even. I'm really tempted to say I love Homa and Gooch and all these guys, and I really like Fitz, but he's the chalk. So I'm gonna and Paul Casey, but I'm gonna say Fleetwood, with Fleetwood and Casey being my favorites. So that's where I'm at. And under 7K, Sheets to make the cut.
St. John's, Keegan Bradley.
Oh my God, forcing me into some Bradley. Ugh. Just kidding. Kenny, under 7K.
I'm gonna under 7. Fuck, I had a 7K guy. God damn it. And I would have chosen Keegan Bradley, so I'll go with Mito Pereira.
That's who I was gonna say. So instead of doubling up, I am going to say, just to stay on brand, there's plenty of guys who I like down here as I just went through, but I'm going to stay on brand and say the general, Patton Kizzire.
9K and higher to miss the cut.
Oh, 9K or higher to miss the cut. Kenny, you want to start with that one?
All right. Well, I'll just stick right at 9K then and say Spieth.
That's what I was going to say. Sheets?
Dustin Johnson.
Oh, interesting. I am going to say one of these guys is going to miss the cut. I'm just not sure which one. As much as I like Scotty Scheffler this week, but it feels like the kind of spot where maybe you get a little bit of a letdown.
That would be so legendary. That would be such an awesome call. Like a full 20% owned Scotty Scheffler coming off of 2 out of 3 wins to miss the cut. That's like a Sheets play. I love that. I think that's great.
All right, well, that's what I'm rolling with, because I can't find anybody else to make a case on exactly, even though I'm sure there will be another guy who doesn't make the cut. All right, guys. Well, that's been it for our show. Guys, really appreciate it. Kenny, appreciate you being here. Sheets, great as always. And we'll keep this stuff rolling, this 3-man. And again, I'll remind our viewers that if you want to skip past all the other going through the plays, you can go to the end and get a good list of 20 legitimate guys. And that stuff has worked out well for us in the past. So good luck to everyone out there today. For Kenny, for Sheets, let's crush it. And hopefully let's see some screenshots over the weekend. Good luck, guys.